to Certify It. Today, we're taking a moment to reflect on all the incredible guests who joined us throughout 2025. This year, we had the honor of speaking with so many inspiring individuals who are hustling every day to advance healthcare education. From high-level executives in the senior living industry to educators that are shaping the next generation of healthcare professionals to even students who are pursuing their dreams. Every guest has been a vital part of our journey and continuous growth. We are so grateful for all of the conversations, insights, and stories that have been shared with us throughout the year. And while we're excited about the amazing guests we have lined up for 2026, today we invite you to look back with us at the highlights of 2025. We would also like to take this time to thank our sponsor, Propel Insurance, who without them, this podcast would not be possible. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to see what's next here at the Certify It podcast.
You're listening to Certify It, the podcast for advancing your career in care, powered by the Mason Center for Healthcare Education. Hear news, updates, and discussions from thought leaders in healthcare around advancing your career through continuing education.
One of the reasons that we've in the foundation, Hillcrest Foundation, thought about birthing an education center was because one of your employees, Chloe Hurst,
Yes.
who actually during COVID-19 was an activities assistant.
Yes.
And had a desire to be able to help more than she was. Can you tell me a little bit about Chloe and about that story of how she became a CNA?
Chloe is an excellent example. She started, like you said, in activities. Just her demeanor, the way she talked to the residents, the way she cared about them, was wonderful. We talked to her about, hey, have you ever thought of going back to school? No, not really. I've never had the financial opportunity because, let's face it, the economy is not the absolute easiest for people to not work a full-time job and still make it. So we're like, yeah, we can help you with that. She went to school, become a CNA, excellent CNA. Her residents adore her. Then we're like, when are you going back to school? In our yearly evaluations, that is one question I kind of put into all the yearly evaluations. So what's your next step? What do you see yourself wanting to do? She's like, well, I don't know if I could be a nurse. I was like, you really could be. You're smart enough to. So she went to school. She graduated in December from LPN school, and she is now training and waiting to get her test date for her LPN license. And she's going to work about 6 months there and then go back to RN school because now she wants to be an RN. That to me is seeing how she's come from entry level all the way up. She will be an excellent nurse.
It's even more important now. There was just a Mercer study that came out this week where they're saying that in 2028, we're going to have 30,000 more RNs in the nation than what we need. However, in rural communities and in rural areas, and Tennessee is one of those, in 2028, even though we're going to have 30,000 more nationwide, in Tennessee, we're going to still be short about 3,000.
Wow.
And I think what we do with introducing people to healthcare and giving them pathways to get into healthcare, that's really the way we're going to be able to grow those nurses, because a lot of our students, even here at the Mason Center, may start in something that is non-degree related, like CNA classes or medication aid. And then that's where they birth that passion for taking care of people, and they'll go on to become nurses. And I think that's really going to be a good way for Tennessee to grow people into nursing, to hopefully not have that 3,000 nurse shortage that they're projecting in 2028.
Absolutely.
A big topic of conversation anymore is student loan debt and how that can be so burdensome. And there's tons of opportunity, like you're saying, and it's just connecting students with those different resources to be able to take that next step. If health science is something that they want to do, being able to connect them to resources to help them take the next step so they don't end up with all of that student debt.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that we do here with our different financial pathways that we have. When students come to us and they decide, hey, I do want to go to CNA training, we have healthcare partners that we're able to connect them with. And those healthcare partners actually will pay for their training. So if they come in and they can't afford to do that, they'll pay for their training in exchange for a certain amount of time worked after graduation.
Yeah.
So if I've listened to this today and I'm a listener of the podcast and everything still sounds like, yes, that is something I really want to do, how do students find us and how do they apply and what does that process look like?
You can go to our website and we have applications that are on there that you can apply for the different courses that we have. Once I receive your information, if sometimes we get people who are like, I can't afford to go through the course. Do you have financial help? And I'll send them in the right direction. I'll help them out in that way. And then we get you signed up for the class.
And what are those different financial resources that are out there if I can't afford to just pay cash to go to the course?
We have different partners that we work with, and some of these partners will sponsor the students to go through the class. We have had facilities who pay their students just to come to class because we all have bills. We all have to pay our bills, and we can't really afford to take a week, let alone a month off to go to class without having means to pay our bills. So a lot of facilities understand that, and they'll sponsor these students and they'll pay for them an hourly rate to come to class. They'll pay for them to take their test. So that's one option that we have for financial aid as well. And we also have a discount running on our program right now. It is a 50% sign-on discount if you send your application in through the website and you pay cash, which we have our definition of cash on the website as well. Then you get a 50% discount right now.
Your office shares a wall with mine, and sometimes I overhear things, and I'm like, not that I mean to, I'm not eavesdropping, but you just can't help but to hear certain conversations, and it's always very interesting. The students that you get to talk to, and the different ways that they find us, and
yes,
and how they end up here, and it has to be rewarding on your side too, to be able to help someone meet the goals that they have.
Yes, it's very rewarding, especially when you see somebody who is struggling, don't know what they want to do with their life. They come and see us. We get them in a CNA class, and then 2 years later, they're a nurse. That is the most rewarding part of my job.
So there's also the lab portion and the clinical portion. We do have a lab here with a full med cart. What was that experience like? And how did that help you when you went to take your test?
The lab experience was very helpful. It made the class easier and give you more understanding once you get hands-on. And once you get hands-on, I think that's where most of the learning starts. So the test, doing the book work was fine, but I enjoyed getting in the lab, hands-on, learning about the meds, learning the correct procedure, and just that part of it.
So you were able to come here because of a partnership that we have with Shenandoah.
Yes.
Where they sponsored you to come through
yes.
The course, and then you'll be working with them
yes.
When you get certified. So we appreciate that partnership with Shenandoah of Maryville. And I know we've got some other of your coworkers
yes.
that are in our current
yes.
class right now.
Yes. Yes.
We love working with partners. That is a way that people can come in. We also have a way that if you didn't have the financial means to take the class, we can hook you up with a partner.
Wow.
And connect you with a partner that can help with that. So, but we're just so excited for you in the future, and we're excited about the ability that you're going to have to make a huge impact on the residents that you've been serving in a different way than the way that you have
right.
been doing it.
Right.
And we're just so excited for what the future holds for you.
Yes. I'd say if there's any CNAs that are interested in doing something different, I definitely recommend them coming to the Mason Center and trying the medication aid program. It's definitely a life changer and adds a little bit more to being just a CNA.
So how did the fact that we have a full lab help you through the classwork and
was really
prepare
helpful.
you for the exam?
I'm a very hands-on person. So when doing the things in the lab and the exam and going to clinicals was the best part for me because it felt like I was actually doing it rather than just kind of picturing it while I was studying and things like that. So I feel like that hands-on learning really sticks it in people's brains so that when they go to do it, oh, I've already done this before. It's just muscle memory at that point.
You're listening to Certify It, the podcast for advancing your career in care, brought to you by Propel Insurance. Find innovative insurance solutions in the toughest risk management environments. Over 500 senior care providers nationwide trust Propel to keep their business thriving. Find your momentum with Propel Insurance.
Tell me a little bit about if there's people out there that are on the fence about whether they want to do this or not, or they're trying to figure out where they, maybe they've decided I want to become a CNA, but there's so many options out there. Why would you recommend someone come and do it here at the Mason Center?
This place feels like you guys are a family. You talk to each other like you've known each other for years, even if you haven't. And every person who comes into this place is welcomed with a smile and made sure to feel comfortable. And so I think that it's, even if you don't actually continue to do the work because it's not for you, it's always worth it to try something new. And especially when you've got so much support behind you, to make sure that you can just try to succeed. I think it's worth a shot.
When you were looking for a partner for your medication aid, what drew you to the Mason Center?
I have worked with a number of members of your team, and I've found the organization and the team members to always be just a high caliber. They represent themselves well, always do what you say you're going to do, follow through. If you make that commitment, just like you said earlier, it's a done deal. We're not going to go back on our word. So I consider Mason Center and all of the team members that I've met so far to be just good people that are in the healthcare industry working for the same cause that we have, just the betterment of individuals and the betterment of care of our elders. So I felt like Mason Center was a perfect partnership for us.
So many of the CNAs go on to be LPNs and RNs. A lot of times that CNA role is the starting point of someone's career in healthcare. So how do you encourage that growth?
So I always tell them that, if you choose to be a CNA for the rest of your life, that's fabulous. That's wonderful. However, if you feel a little bit like you want to progress to something else, there's always, the sky's the limit with nursing. You can always do so many things in healthcare in general. And with our students, we have several that have gone on. And I always have my new class when we get to a building that they've gone on and they've started at the Mason Center and then they're an LPN now. And we have several. And I always have them talk to those people because it's wonderful. They give them the push and the positivity that they need that, you can do this, and when they're like, I didn't think I could ever do that. And I, barely passed CNA class, or I could barely do, and here they are on a med card. And it's good for the students to see that.
One thing before we go that I would like to ask you is if there was one piece of advice that you could give a prospective student that's sitting out there on the fence whether they want to be a CNA or not, they're not real sure, they may be a little nervous. What is that one piece of advice that you would hope sticks with people that choose to pursue a career?
Well, just do it. The sky's the limit in anything you can do. And if you're at a job where you don't feel like you're changing lives every single day, if you don't get up in the morning and love what you do, if you're just like, oh, I'm going to work. Oh, I can't wait for Friday. Oh, I can't. In all the years I've worked, I never, ever felt like that. I loved my job every single day. I loved going to wherever it was that I worked. And I think you always have to feel that passion. And if you want to be a CNA, that's a great place to start. And there is never going to be another job where people need you as much as they need you, or that you feel the gratification that you feel. So just come on and apply and get in here.
So looking back at your journey up to this point, because you're not finished yet, you still you start clinicals on Monday, so we're excited about that. What's been the biggest success in your eyes that you've seen for yourself?
Probably to this point, I feel like the tests have been my biggest success because I got my first test back and I was like, I missed like 2. I was like, I didn't think I was that smart, that I could do it. And then it just kept getting better and better.
So how long had it been since you had taken a test? Lord, if somebody gave me a test right now, I would freak out just because it's been so long since I've had to take one.
It had probably been like 10, 12, 13 years. So I definitely wasn't in that mindset right off the bat.
So Sue has helped you get there.
Oh, for sure.
So how does your instructor make a difference in your learning?
So Sue has been absolutely great as an instructor. I feel like all of her experience mixed with like all of the rules and all of the procedures and certain order that you have to follow, like I don't feel like you could have one without the other and me be able to like learn as quickly as we have.
We have a hands-on skills lab here, completely set up just like a resident room. How do you feel that the setup of our classrooms and the resources that we have available for students helps you in preparation?
Oh, it's definitely great. Sue actually told us too that some of the sheets and blankets and stuff we get from the bed are from actual facilities that they sent us. So that the fact that we're working with actual stuff that we'll be working with in clinicals, that helps a lot.
Can you share a little bit about what made you decide, and if you have a story about why you decided, okay, I've been a CNA for 17 years. Most CNAs that have been a CNA that want to go do something different would pursue LPN or RN. But there is now in Tennessee this intermediate level between the two, CNA and nurse, that is called med tech. What made you decide that route was the best for you?
Being a single mother, I have 2 kids, and just the time, I don't really have that much time to go to school for a whole year. So doing this program really helps me change my career.
Thank you for joining us today. This has been Certify It, the podcast for advancing your career in care. You can find Brittany's story as well as stories of other students and instructors at themasoncenterknox.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Certify It by the Mason Center for Healthcare Education. Get connected with us on social media and at themasoncenterknox.com. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this podcast on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you're interested in sponsorship or donations to help further our cause of providing affordable, flexible healthcare certification programs for individuals seeking career mobility in skilled nursing, senior living, and long-term care fields, visit themasoncenterknox.com.